I appreciate both of you guys for tuning in because I was telling everyone before you guys got on, like what I love about you guys, of course, you guys have the hits and the talent, but deep down inside, you guys are just R&B fans, just like I am, and a lot of people that are tuned in, like you just love R&B. So I appreciate that about you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for
Absolutely.
having
We
me.
talked before. We talked. Troy and I talked before doing this, and we were saying that we were excited to do it just because you guys are always supporting us and the same supporting R&B in general, and
Yeah.
we appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what I really want to do with this segment, we want to talk about the songs that you guys have created, but I really want to get into like the brotherhood and the friendship that you guys have developed over the span of the last like 25 years or so. Like, Troy, paint the picture for me. Like, when did you meet Johnta, and how did that whole come about? Because I know Johnta was signed at one point. Was that even before that?
No, that it was then.
Okay.
So let me paint the picture.
Yeah.
I'm 25 years old and I'm living in Brooklyn.
Mhm.
This is probably one of my big like favorite stories I tell, even in master classes and seminars and stuff. And so Kenny Ortiz, who was an A&R at RCA, I had known Kenny for a while, and he called
We
me, and I
discovered a signed
remember,
SWV.
yes,
Yeah.
he did, yeah, he discovered SWV, and who's, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, they're still celebrating them songs from then to now. Um, so he called me, and it was after, I remember it being like after hours, like like it was cold outside, and so it was dark. And so he called me and was saying, "Hey, man, listen, I got this kid in my office, and I want you to meet him.
Mm.
Can you, he asked me if I could come down, and I was like, sure. And I'm living in Brooklyn, so that means taking a subway and all that. So
Right.
I went to his office, and I met Johnta, and Johnta was 14.
Mm.
And I think the main concern for Kenny was that fact that his voice was changing. He knew his voice was in the brinks of changing, and he
Right.
was
I was
concerned
13,
that,
by the way.
oh, 13, sheesh. And
A
he
long
was
time
he was
ago.
he was thinking about his voice changing, and he wanted me to work with him and to work with his vocals. And so I met him. I met Johnta and his mom, and from there, we would schedule time to get up, and I would go to Atlanta because I,
Mm.
lived there. I would go to Atlanta and work with Johnta. And so let's see. So Kenny Ortiz was A&R, and who was the president?
So
Skip.
Joe Galante
No,
and
Skip
Skip was
Miller.
the
Yeah.
vice president.
Oh, Skip.
Skip
Okay,
was
okay.
the
Skip
yes
was the
was the
vice
senior
president.
VP. Rest in
Okay.
peace,
Yeah,
Skip
rest in
Miller.
peace, Skip Miller. And so, moving along, Skip Miller, all of them got fired. And when they got fired, uh, you know, they dropped Jonte.
Yeah.
And that was really, really crazy. We had already began working. You know what I mean? We had already started doing songs or whatever. During the course of me being around Jonte, though, there's two factors, two things that I noticed just in passing. One, he
Right.
would he would sing under his breath all the time. Um, and two, he had a great memory. Like he could remember things from movies, remember lines, and like it was nothing. Like he could see a movie one time and tell you the whole movie and remember lines and quote lines. But
Mm.
back to the thing where he would sing under his breath, he would sing songs, and I would be like, "What song is that?" I don't know, just this song I made up. He
Mm.
would say it like nothing, but they would be songs, not
Mm.
not melodies, yum da da da, but actual songs. And so I was like, wow. So that's kind of something that stuck with me. So
Yeah.
when they got fired and they dropped Jonte, the concern was how are me and Jonte going to continue if he's dropped?
Right.
And so I remember Chris Young, his manager at the time, called me, and he was telling me that Jonte was a little concerned if I was going to still want to work with him. And I was like, well, sure, definitely, because if one thing I know about Jonte is that he can write songs, and I
Right.
could show him how to make some money with them songs he be writing. Like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And this is what I told him. So his mom, and you could chime in anytime, Johnta, if I'm missing something. His
I'm gonna
mom,
let you go.
if you get, you know, if you segue in there, his mom would schedule for him some time for him to come. And by this time I lived in Jersey. So I lived in Jersey and I would go to Brooklyn, because I used to live in Brooklyn, but the Brooklyn became the studio, and then I would travel back to Jersey at my house. And so his mom would schedule some time for him to do school, because he was still in school. Had a tutor, and he would do school in the morning, and then we would work, you know, right after. And TTU says that all writers should be able to record themselves. That
Right.
is a must. It's been that way since I was in high school. On my 8-track, it's going to continue to be that way to this day. And so Johnta was taught how to record himself. So he would go down in the basement after his school. He would go down in the basement and he would work. And he would, you know, he knew how to write songs. He knew how to stack vocals. He knew how to do all of that stuff by this time. By the way, Johnta is the first one that got me into name brands.
Mm.
Uh, I wasn't into name brands clothing. He brought me my first Prada shoes. I didn't know what Prada was. It's all his fault. So y'all see me with these. It's all Shantae
You're
fault.
welcome.
So yeah, that would be the thing that we would do, and he would stay with me for like a couple of weeks at a time. Like,
Yeah.
but there's one thing about Johnta this is one factor. Johnta would always write a full song, but it wouldn't be the one. It would be
Mm.
the one that I would make him scratch that one. The next one would
Wow.
always be the one. That would be it. So it was almost like, you know, get that out, and then the next one, he nails it every single time. Okay. So now, during the course of all of this, the
Yeah.
new people that came into RCA, the
Yeah.
new people brought their kid in, right? And so when they brought their kid in, they had a nerve to come and ask me to do some songs for the kid. And I'm like, nah, you dropped my boy. Nah, you can't, I'm not doing that. The only problem with that was I had a studio on 23rd Street in Broadway on the 10th floor. That's a very expensive area.
Yeah.
So we had bills to pay. So my partner at the time, Charles, he was like, no, we got to take this meeting. And it was with Anthony Morgan. And he came in and he asked me to play him some stuff. I reluctantly played him some stuff. I went through, you know, just scrolling through stuff. And as I was scrolling through music, he said, what's that? And I was like, oh, that's not finished. This is a track with a hook. He was like, let me hear that. And so I played it for him. And he was like, can you finish that? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. Yeah. You know, I was trying to be as polite as possible, but I was annoyed. And so I said, yeah. And, you know, after that meeting, I sat there for a little while. And I came up with this thought. And I swear to you, this thought was classic, iconic. And I said, you know, I'm gonna call Johnta. Since the song wasn't finished, I'm like, let me call Johnta, have him do these verses. Because
Right.
what better way to get back at your replacement, but then to blow him up, give him his record. In my
Right.
head, this is what I was thinking. So I called Johnta and I said, I remember I said something I remember saying, if you're smart, you do it. If you're not smart, you won't. Something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I just said, if you're smart, you'll do it. And he was like, what are you talking about? Like, what I was like, so I just had a meeting with da-da-da-da, and they want me to da-da-da-da, and I got this song, and I want you to do the verse. I want you to give me the verses. And so, but I need the verses to be simple, because Johnta was heavily into R. Kelly at that time.
Yeah.
Woo, my gosh. And so he knew how to write like that, but that calls for a lot of words. You
Mm-hmm.
know, R. Kelly used a lot of words.
Yeah.
So I said, Johnta, I need it to be simple. I need it to be simple. So the first idea he hit me, remember what I said, he had a great memory. So I could play it over the phone and he would remember it.
Mm.
So he called me back and he gave me the first idea and it was too much. It
Yeah.
was too much. And then he called me back again and he gave me another idea. And I'm like, no, it's too wordy. I want it to be something like if I say it, it doesn't sound like a song. It sounds like a conversation.
Yeah.
And so I remember going to get something to eat, and I came back, and he called me the third time, and he sang this over the phone. Now remember, I wanted it to be a conversation, so I'm gonna converse the lyrics
Yeah.
because he nailed it. Now any other day, I would play it cool, but I can't now because I want you. You see, I'm hooked on how you flex your style, and I want to talk for a little while. I ain't never really seen your type, but I must admit that I kind of like. So maybe if you have the time, we could talk about you being my sweet lady.
Mm.
When he did that, and that's the words right verbatim. I did not take away,
Wow.
I did not add. And when I heard it, I'm like, that's it. So he called the answer machine. He put it down on the answer machine. I demoed it. And then that would go on to be Tyrese's biggest record. Well, I guess one of his biggest, I don't want to say biggest records, but one of his biggest records.
Right. Right.
Biggest records. But the thing was, what better way to get your replacement back than to blow him up? Now, in this case, the lesson to be learned in this situation for all artists is that is a moment that Johnta had a right to say, get the F out of here. Like,
Right.
he had a right to be like, no, I'm not doing that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? But he listened. First of all, here's the key. He listened to me. He understood, he trusts my judgment,
Right.
and he nailed it to the point where it came to pass. And who would have known? I mean, I knew what I wanted to happen, but I
Yeah.
didn't think it was going to happen. I can't even say that I thought it would happen, but it happened exactly the way that it needed to happen, and it became Tyrese's biggest record. Now, that's the first part of the story,
Yeah.
because I ain't get to recording it.
Right.
I didn't get to the recording part of it.
Troy,
So,
give me 1 sec. I'm gonna pass it over to Jonte first, and then we'll get back to that.
yes.
But so Jonte, before you started working with Troy, I know you have done some work with Joe and the Neptunes early on. Was Troy before them or after?
Before we had or really like around the same time, I would say.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Well, because I just mentioned, the Neptunes and Joe legends in their own right. What stood out about Troy during that time? Because that's the man behind TTU. You know he's going to be tough in the vocal booth. He's going to make sure that you're doing it the right way. Like, what stood out about Troy early on for you?
yeah, well, when I work with him vocally, I'm always, and I've always been up for a challenge. So,
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't make it easy, and not trying to make it hard just for the sake of making things hard, but, making them, just the way that they should be, the vocals and the process, learning how to stack. One thing with Troy, you're gonna learn about your gift, as a singer. So you're gonna learn, before I got to him, I didn't know, what was flat, what was sharp,
Mm,
and working with him, and it's like, that was off. Like I know, okay, why was it off? Was it was flat? Was it flat? No, it was sharp. Okay, right, it was sharp. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Just
remember
to,
that.
learning those things, and so that's what stood out. With Troy, he knew how to make it simple, and teach it. As you pointed out, Joe is amazing in his own right. This was right after Joe had just released his debut album.
mm,
So this was before Don't Want to Be a Player. This was before Love Scene, all that. You know what I mean? This was the I'm in Love Joe, and
yeah.
who I was a huge fan of. Um, you know, Joe just knew how to tell you, he just knew how to sing it for you. And I was like,
Sure.
so if you messed it up, he'd just be like, no, and then it just effortlessly comes out of his mouth. So what stood out with Troy was just a natural, he's a natural teacher, natural, mentor. He really had that mentor gene and spending all that time around him. So it was between him. I will say him and Joe, because I would take I would live with Troy, and then I lived with Joe in the basement. When Joe was living with his manager, I was living in the basement, and it was that was an interesting time. But yeah, to answer your question, it was the mentorship and the just taking me up under his wing that Troy just did from day one.
Right. That's amazing. So Troy, before we get to the recording of Sweet Lady, Johnta, give me from your perspective the writing for Sweet Lady, the verses that Troy just talked about, it being a conversation, like what inspired it for you from your point of view? I know Troy kind of pointed, some guidance on that standpoint, but what was the influence there?
For me at the time, I mean, I was young, so I didn't know, I guess everything about, love and relationships, but, I had a shorty, and I had a little, game about myself. So, so when he was like, nah, man, just make it a conversation, because he was right. Initially, I'm heavy into, whose name I don't know if we can say.
We're allowed to talk about him.
in this climate, but no. So it was that first, and then I remember it was like a SOS Jamin Lewis inspired something. That was like the second thing, and he's like, nah, man, it's too, just simple. Just keep it simple. I'm like, and I think that's the thing that has always helped me as a writer. Just as a student, I always listen to the people that were around me, who were older than me, who had been in the game. I was, first of all, blessed to just have, such great, older mentorship. But the key was to listen. The key was not to, because as a writer, as creatives, we fall in love with everything that we do. You know
Right.
what I mean? And Troy taught me how to be objective. So, that was the time where, like, he'd give me a track and I'd write a song that I thought was great, and he'd be like, "No, it's good. Let me see what else you can write to it." And he would make me write to the exact same track. And so now you have to force yourself to come up with a different melody, different concept, different everything. But it taught me to be objective. So when he said keep it simple, I never got discouraged anytime he would come back and say, nah, that's not it. Give me one more. No, that's not it. Give me one more. So that third time, that's when I broke it down, and then I called him, and he was like, that's it. He didn't tell me, he did say, if you're smart, you would do this, but that was all he said at the time. He didn't tell me until after I had nailed it that third time who it was for.
That's hilarious.
So, which is probably smart, because I probably been like, man, I ain't gonna help that nigga.
Sabotage Tyrese's career
Right.
before it starts. Troy, talk about the recording for that song. I assume you're recording Tyrese for that record?
Yeah, so we're on D. I think we were on D88s by then at that time.
Yeah,
we were on D88s at that time. So, which means that anything I did, I would have to redo. So we went to LA, and now this story has a couple of compartments to it, a couple of things to it that makes it, crazy in itself. So we scheduled a time to go to LA because that's where Tyrese was. And I was going to have a young lady come out. So I scheduled her coming out according to me finishing recording Tyrese, so that I can have time to spend with this young lady. So the first,
real quick, let it be known that the girls was getting flued out by Troy. In the
actually,
late
that was the
90s.
first one. That was the first time. But wait,
He
no,
was
that was the
flying them out
first
in the late
time
90s,
I had
kids.
never done it before. And I'm like, everybody's doing it. Everybody flies chicks out.
Everybody's doing
I
it.
never did it. I'm like, I never did it. So this first time
Mm.
I ever flew the girl out. Um, it was I was, okay, I'm gonna be in the studio with him doing this. So let me have her come at this time. And I gave it a 2 days, a grace period of 2 days. And so first night, I'm going into the studio. Now, I had already known that Tyrese didn't want to do the song. I knew that. So I figured, let him do the background vocals. The bridge was still open. So
Yeah.
I figured, as a producer, when you know an artist doesn't want to do a song, usually if you make them a part of the song, give them some publishing or whatever,
Yeah.
earning it, of course, not just giving it to him, that they'll probably end up liking the record. So
Right.
I had to do all the vocals over anyway. So I was waiting on him before I started recording anything. And I didn't touch the bridge because I figured he'll come in and I'll give him an opportunity to write it. Well, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. It came like 3 hours passed, and so I got bored. And one thing about me is you can't leave me alone on an empty
Mm.
track too long. I'm going to do the background. I'm going to do them harmonies.
Yeah.
So
No doubt.
I got bored and I did the hook. And I just remember stacking it and just playing with it and having fun because I was bored. Not that that's how it went, but I was just bored. And
Right.
this is before Pro Tools, by the way. So there was no auto tune. There was no copy paste and all that. You had to be on point.
It was
Yeah.
2-inch reels, and you had to
Yes.
rewind them all the way back,
If you mess up,
10, 15 seconds before you could
Oh
record so it
man.
could lock and
so
sync.
can you imagine that? Okay, so we're recording. Da-da-da-da-da, stop. You do it again. Gling, 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 gling,
Yeah,
gling, click, click.
that's what it was.
Yes,
Oh
each
man.
time. What? So I did the vocals, background vocals, and then he's still not here. So I
Man.
wrote the bridge. I did the background. I wrote the bridge, and then I did the backgrounds for the bridge. He's still not here. So after I did that, got something to eat. I remember Wanye actually came by the studio that day too. Wanye from
Mm.
Boyz II Men.
Yeah.
And he was sitting with me for a while, and then I got bored and got tired, and then I went out to the party. There was a party going on. There was an industry party
Wow.
going on that evening. And so I'm walking around at the party. Guess who shows up?
Oh man.
I'm like, Tyrese, they didn't tell you we were recording tonight? Oh no, I told them I wanted to start tomorrow. Well, they didn't tell me. Now I want to start tomorrow. Now see, he's already chipping into my time that I had to. So so no, we didn't start then. And so the next day he comes in. And he already told the story. He already apologized 20 some odd years later, and he put it on his page.
Right. I
So
saw
now,
that. Yeah.
so now I can just I waited years to tell him how much of a jerk he was. I
Yeah.
waited years, and I wanted to tell.
You did.
I wanted to say something, but I didn't say anything, and so he came in with this attitude, like he was annoyed,
Mm.
and I knew he didn't want to do the record, but I didn't think he would come in like that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So let me give you an idea, because he felt like it wasn't singing. He felt like the way the way the structure of it was more like talking. So because now any other day, stop. I would play it cool, stop, but I can't now, stop. He didn't like that. That's the way it was going. And
Right.
so, yo, man, this ain't singing. You know what I'm saying? like he was annoyed, and I'm sitting him like, well, Tyrese, this is how it goes. This is what the label like. I don't know what to tell you. Now,
Yeah.
let me tell you something about Troy Taylor at that time. I was known, and I cursed at that time back then. So I was known to be a little hard, like I really didn't play. One thing about me is that if you're gonna do this and you signed, we're not playing.
Right.
No, you got a record deal. You in the studio. You got money. You got paid. You're people. There's a high expectation of you. No, we're not playing. No way. And so I knew that if I be myself, we would clash because he was already looking for a reason not to do the song.
Right.
So I'm going to give you an example of what Tyrese wanted to do. He didn't like the way it went. He wanted to sing it like this. Now, any other day, I will play it cool, but I can't now. I'm like, Tyrese, no, dude, no. That's not
sexy.
that's not that's not sexy. That's not sexy at all. No, man, that's not yo. So imagine me working with him, trying to get him to follow the way it goes, and he wanted to oversing. So each line. Now any other day, that was like few takes.
Wow.
So each line was like, it was like, oh my gosh, dude. Like, so he's still giving me a hard time. We finally get piece. Now we get to the hook. The hook is a call and response type hook.
Mm.
And when he found out that he had to respond, what? What? So wait, I was like, Tyrese, it's sweet lay. Would you sweet love, alive? It's a pattern. Like he did
Yeah.
not like it at all.
Mm.
He griped, and I'm like, Tyrese, you can't you. There's a pocket for you. You got a pocket. You got to stay in that pocket. And my goodness, boy, we got past that hook. We got it. We pulling teeth, but we got it. Came time for the second verse. Now, sometimes the second verse is usually different. In this case, we go back to that da 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 da. He's like, I gotta do that again. Oh man, come on, man. No, man, come on. I'm like, Tyrese, this is how it goes, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, man, yo, this ain't singing. Now, the old Troy wanted to really go off, but I knew if I went off, that would give him a reason to leave and not do the song. So I had to appease him. I might mention I couldn't go to the airport to go pick up the young lady. So it lagged over to the next day. Charles had to go get her. And so he brought her. So she's sitting next to me while I'm working with him. And she never been in the studio before. So she just was like, well, why is what you telling him to do hard? I was like, no. And why is he so angry? Why is he so mad? Why doesn't he want to do it? It's a nice song. And so I was like, the record company's making him do the song. Oh, wow. Oh. So she just sitting there like watching. And now I'm definitely got to be on my best behavior because I got a young lady there. So I'm like, man, Logan, would you mind? So my dog. So I'm like, okay, we take forever. We finally get to the bridge. If you notice the bridge, he's basically responding to me.
Yeah.
He's just ad-libbing. It wasn't supposed to be that. He's supposed to be singing the line that I was singing. I was just supposed to be under him. But because he barely wants to do the song, it's like just ad-lib, man. Just ad-lib, do the bridge. And so after he comes out of that, it's the formula again. Sweet lady, would you? He like, yo, man. I'm like, all right, listen, Tyrese, if you give me one more hook, following this format, and I promise you, you could do whatever you want. I won't stop you. Yeah. So when he goes, that was one. That whole ad lib was one take.
Well,
That was what he wanted to do the whole time. So you listen to that. He wanted to do that from the top of the song, like, and I just let him go. He just went. So that was one take. We finally got it done. Just to add a little bit to the story, because he took up so much of my time with the young lady and we went out after that. I decided not to go to the industry party that was going on that evening because I had already took up too much time. And then 4 a.m, while I'm laying with that young lady, I get a call, and they was like, "Yo, did you hear?" And I was like, "Hear what?" "Yo, turn on the radio." And I turned on the radio, and it was like, "Yo, Biggie got shot." I was like, "Is he okay?" He's like, "Nah, man, he gone." I'm like, "What? What do you mean? I don't
wow.
understand." He's like, "Biggie gone." So it was March 9th, in the morning of March 9th, that I was supposed to go to that vibe party that Biggie got shot at. I didn't go because I was already behind schedule, and I didn't want to take her to the party and waste time. So I just stayed, you know what I mean? Like, so that part of this, I always tell that part of the story because it was a monumental evening. Like the
Sure.
night before I did Sweet Lady, and the night after Biggie got killed. So it's just a crazy part of the story that I always have to tell.
That's wow, there's a lot to unpack there.
Right.
Johnta, you should have just kept the record.
It worked out perfect, man. It worked out the way that it was, supposed to work out. As Big Bro said, he's going on to have some other big records. But
Yeah.
I think, I stand on, Sweet Lady at least being a top, 2 or 3 record of his.
Yeah. Johnta, talk about when you heard Tyrese's version for the first time, because obviously you had written songs prior to that. I think the 702 record had come out already. So you've heard people singing your records, but when you heard Sweet Lady for the first time, what was your reaction?
Yeah, it was I was excited. I
Yeah.
did know what had gone into getting that record, getting that performance out of him. So I was like,
Right.
okay, I had great respect, for my brother to get that out. And no, it was anytime you hear a song on the radio,
Yeah.
it's a good feeling. I mean, my first one was the Mona Lisa record. That was my
Hmm.
first song that was ever on the radio. The 702 record was good, but it was, it was on the album. So
Sure.
Sweet Lady, to start hearing it on the radio, and then, for it, to start picking up steam and, and becoming a smash, that was a great feeling.
Yeah,
It
that's
just,
an
that's huge. And I
amazing.
mean, like, I'm just, like in high school at the time, like we're about to graduate high school. So it's all good for me.
Yeah, I would imagine because that song was so big at that time. Uh, Troy, did you know it was going to be a hit at that time?
No, not at
No, that
all.
wasn't even his first single.
No, it wasn't. He
No.
actually
Yeah.
he fought against it. It was supposed to be his first single, and he fought against
Hmm.
it because he wanted an up tempo so that he could dance.
Yeah.
And God knows that video.
Yeah.
That video was like, yo, what in the world is he doing? But they after it didn't work, I have to say. According to what they told me, it wasn't working for him. They put him back on that bus because he was the Coca-Cola kid
Yeah.
already. So they put him back on that bus. People started making the connection, like, yo, that's the dude, yo, that's and when they realized who Tyrese really was, it was
Yeah.
perfect. The video was perfect. Had old girl on there. What's her name, Johnta?
Maia Campbell.
Maia Campbell, and she was hot at that time. So, yeah, it was a good thing to put him back on that bus, and everybody start connecting that's Tyrese, the Coca-Cola kid.
Mm. That's amazing. I want to backtrack here to when you guys were working together early on, because Troy, you told me that Marcus Houston's "Can I Call You," which came out years later, that was one of the songs that you guys did together. So I'm curious, like, what were you guys working on together?
Shoot, that was a record that I wanted Johnta to do because I felt like, I was like, yo, we got to get him back out there. Like, you know what I mean? So it was a part of a sound that I
Hmm.
had started thinking about, for Johnta to go back and start, shopping him as an artist.
Yeah.
That was one of the songs that we did. I was thinking about "Can't Help It" by Michael Jackson, of course,
Yeah.
and strategically trying to find a way to make it feel the same way, but not sound the same way. I did the track, and Johnta killed it.
Hmm.
And we had did a few records at that time too. But by that time, nothing had came about. And when they came to me about Marcus Houston, I just played the song, and Marcus loved it.
Mm, amazing. So, Jonte, I got to bring up this record right here. I see it in the comments as well. The SWV record, Here For You. Like, you guys absolutely destroyed that song. Like, take me back to that record because that one is crazy.
Who, me?
Man,
Oh, Johnta.
that when oh gosh, I remember doing the I think were we in New York when we did that?
Yeah.
Mm,
Okay, we were in New York and yeah, I mean that was just an opportunity, to work on SWV. Like as Troy said, we had the studio on. Was it 23rd? I thought it was 25th Street.
23rd.
23rd. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, so I mean, I was, and at this time I have a publishing deal too. So
mm,
I'm like, man, I got a song requirement to meet. But also just to get a chance to work with SWV or write a song for SWV. Just that was just when we were doing records, man. Like it's a lot of times we would have records. That was back in the times where we worked just because. You know what I mean? Every day, like you said, same thing with "Can I Call You?" Every day we're getting up, and part of our routine, is going around the corner to the IHOP to get strawberry pancakes, and, and then going down, to that basement, or taking a ride into the city, to work on 23rd Street. So a lot of those records, we either had like a hook concept or a verse, or the tracks was there. It's just like, okay, let's finish this record. We had records. I don't want to say laying around, but we took it seriously. This was our profession. So just like a lawyer gets up every day and goes to work on some paperwork or a case or whatever, we got up every day and we made songs.
yeah,
And a few of the songs that we placed, were songs that we just had around.
nice. Troy, that session must have been fun with SWB.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was fun
Yeah.
because Coco's a trip, and I have to say, with honor that I probably at that time was one of the only producers that could really handle her, besides Brian Morgan, of course.
Right.
Outside of him, because Coco she wasn't no joke. You had to really be good in order to produce her, because she's gonna make you work. The only great thing about her was if you could sing, then you cool. And because I
Right.
because I could sing, she would just do whatever I told her to do. And that was the challenge for her. If you can't sing it, then don't tell me to do it. Woo! I'm like, okay, well, so are you
Yeah.
saying if I give it to you, you'll do it? Yeah. And our relationship from there was great.
Mm,
Like I
yeah.
got the best out of her because I was able to give her, and step by step, and I had no problem with that. To me, that works better.
He gave me some advice too, because I worked on when she was doing her solo
Right.
project. We did a record, All Star, and I did a record called Girlfriend that never came out. But he told me, he said, going in, like, make sure you're on it, make sure you're confident, because if you're
Mm,
not, she'll run right over you.
Yes, she
So,
will. Woo,
yes,
woo, man.
be confident in what you tell her, because she gonna know if you're not confident too. If
Right.
you're not confident, she gonna sense it, and then she just gonna tune you out.
that's crazy. Uh, Troy, talk about this. So you guys spent some time working together, and then I don't want to say you guys go your separate ways, but I think just career-wise, Jonty, hooks up with Noontime, eventually goes with JD, and you just see his career just blow up as a songwriter. He's writing actual hit records. Sweet Lady was a hit, but it just continues to go up from there. Like, just from your point of view, like, what was that like for you, just watching this guy that you've known since he was 13 writing these monster smashes?
So let's go back.
Yeah.
Let's go back to 15, 16-year-old Johnta.
Hmm.
Let's go back. He had this girlfriend. Oh my gosh. He was into her. He was so into her. And she just wasn't as into him as he was into her. And he just was so giddy when he was around her. And she would complain that he was just too affectionate and hugging her all the time. And I remember telling her, I'm like, yeah, one day you gonna miss that. You gonna want him to do it and he ain't gonna do it. And she's like, oh my God, he's so annoying. And I'm like, okay, yeah, all right. One thing about boys, once you mess that up, they don't go back to that. So,
Nope.
and I warned her, and he just really, really was into her, genuinely into her. And I remember telling him, like, dude, she don't like you the same way that you like her. And he would, he would call me about situations that would happen. He was so annoyed. But one day, Johnta called me and he said he had just did this song and he played it for me. He asked me if I want, he wanted to play it for me over the phone. And the song, I'm listening to it and I'm listening to the lyrics. In the beginning, I tried to make it work. Seemed like I would always. I listened to the lyrics. I'm like, oh, he finally let her go.
Wow.
And that, I listened to, he told the story. If you go back and listen to Ideal, what's the name of the song? Ideal.
Get Gone.
Get Gone. If you go back and listen to that first verse, I could tell that Johnta finally let her go because anytime he would write about it, that's it. He's done.
Wow.
And he wrote exactly what was going on. And I was like, you finally did it. You finally let her go. It says everything about what was going on and how, and then he got fed up and he was done and he wrote it. And I was like, wow. He was only, I think he was 16, right?
Yeah, I think I might have been around 18 because
right.
It was after high school.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Where she this particular person went off to college and we're not gonna get into that. But, did some things that inspired that song. So I would just say to all, of the young women that experienced the savagery that was early 20s Johnta, you have this person to thank. It's her fault.
By the way, she did come back. And oh my goodness, man!
Because it was two songs. It was I Miss You came
Oh.
before Get Gone.
Yes,
yeah.
Right. So he was still in love with her.
Off to college.
Yeah.
She went away. That was that line. But then after freshman year of college, it was Get Gone.
That's right. I forgot that I Miss You was about that. Yeah, because he wrote about it again. If you listen to the lyrics, he was talking about that situation that he was in. And, that's the kind of writer to this day, Johnta. Well, let me tell you just this sidebar. Johnta will have a conversation with you in the studio. He'll just be talking random. It could be about sports. It could be about anything. And while the music's playing, this dude is lyrically, he's writing the song in his head the whole time. But you don't know it though. He's talking, he's laughing. And then he'll go, all right, give me the thing. You like, what? Give me the first, let me do the first verse. And then he would do the hook. He would do the hook backwards. He would do the answers before he does it's so weird. He still records like that. He'll do the part that you respond to before the part that you he does it. He just records backwards. And I was just remembering, like, dude, when did you write this? He's writing it the whole time. Like,
wow.
You didn't know it though. It wasn't like he had a pad and pen. He'd be talking, laughing, recalling lines in a movie and all of that. And then he'll just put the headphones on and start going. And you'd be like, when did you write this? I didn't even know, I didn't even see you writing this. So that's just a side, that's a sidebar. Some other songs, going back to 702,
Yeah.
I remember I was working with them and Johnta was in Atlanta and I was in LA. And I saw Irish and I was like, yo, Iris is cute, yo. Like, you need to get out here. You need to get out here. We need to get you out here. So I got the label to fly him out as a writer to help me, write. But really for him to meet Iris.
Wow.
It was more so about that than it was, So when he came out, that's when he did Show You My Love. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. He did that right there on the spot. And there's just so many other things that made it such a great relationship as far as a working relationship, because it's trust. I trust him. He trusts me. He had the knack for catchy melodies. He knew what to say. He knew what his generation wanted to hear. And I didn't even dispute that. It's like if he did it, if I felt like he can do it better, I would tell him, nah, do something else. And he would nail it every time. That second time, he would always nail it.
Wow. That's amazing. I want to fast forward to like the mid 2000s, and I want to paint the picture for you, because mid 2000s is, Troy, when you first put out Trey songs. Mid 2000s is also when Johnta is working on Ocean Drive, his debut album. And both of you guys are having challenges trying to get that music out in the way that you guys think it should be out. What was the conversations like between you two at that time?
I don't remember. What year was Oceans? What year was that?
Troy telling me that was that 03?
Okay.
04-ish?
Yeah, Turn It Up was like 05, right?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I just remember, learning about Trey, Troy saying, man, I got this kid, from Virginia and, basically going through the same, training program that I had gone through, that Carl Thomas had gone through,
Yeah.
Before me. Just, the days and nights of just being up under that guidance, sleeping in the other room, living in the basement, just recording over and over again. I didn't get a chance to meet Trey, but so I knew he was working with him, and they got the deal, and I didn't get a chance to actually meet Trey, I don't think, until y'all came to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And he had a show here,
mm-hmm.
and it was at the Intercontinental. The show was at the Intercontinental. But then at the same time, what I was going through was, we had been signed to Virgin. JD was the president over there. And then, he didn't get along with the new general manager that came along. And so, he decided to move over to Island.
Yeah.
And so we had a decision, I had a decision, which is, do I stay at Virgin?
Yeah.
Because at this time, Turn It Up was starting to get some traction. Like, we had added Jadakiss to the remix. It was killing it in New York, which is extremely hard to do, to get a record, that's killing it in New York.
Right.
And, I decided, Troy will tell you, like, if I'm with you, I'm with you. So I believe in, sticking with the person that brought you. And so it was a no. I was like, man, I'm gonna go with JD to Island.
Mm-hmm.
And so that effectively killed Turn It Up.
Yeah.
And then similarly, we were over there, and then, JD ended up leaving Island right as we're about to put The One That Got Away out. And so, like, the same thing, just like, oh man, do we go with, this or do this? So, that was kind of the turmoil that I was going through, label politics and things like that. And then, Troy can speak to, what they were dealing with at Atlantic with Trey.
Yeah. So Trey was one that like Johnta, listened to everything I said to do. Never griped, never argued, never complained, never talked back, just did everything I told them to do. And by this point, we're on Trey Day.
Yeah.
And Wonder Woman's out. It's not working. Atlantic promised Trey that they would push the record because that was the record he wanted to rap on, that he rapped on, and he really wanted, because Trey was a rapper first. He wasn't a singer. He really wanted to get his rapping out, and it didn't work. It wasn't working. And I remember Delonte, who was managing at the time, sent me this record. And when he's like, yo, I got this record from, I don't remember who he got it from. Who did he get it from?
I think Craig.
Yeah, Craig sent it to him, and he sent it to me. And he said Craig wants Trey to do this song. And I'm like, whoa. And when I heard it, I was like, okay, I mean, clearly it's a smash, but I don't think Trey's gonna do it. And so he was like, why do you say that? And it's like, because Atlantic promised that they would blow up Wonder Woman. If I play Trey this record, I know he's gonna be mad. He's gonna be upset because this would be Trey Songz at 22, the very first time he told me no. I called him after I heard it. I called him, and the minute he picked up the phone, he said, I ain't doing it. I didn't even say anything. He just said, I ain't doing it. I was like,
you got to tell him the record.
I'm gonna tell him. I was like, what are you talking about? I already know what you're calling. I already know what you're calling. You gonna say? I was like, but why? You don't like it? He's like, nah, record's a smash. I said, so we're in the red. We gotta win. Nah, man, because I already know as soon as I put my vocals on it, that's gonna give them a reason to get off Wonder Woman. And I was like, but Trey, we gotta do this record. And so the record turned out to be Can't Help But Wait. Yes, you got it. You got it, Candy. And Trey never denied it. He is to this day a Johnta #1 sit in the front row fan. He sat and watched Johnta record, and he was like, Johnta left, Trey just talked about it all. Yo, that man ain't even write down on no paper, man. That man did a whole song, because he was country. That man did a whole song in 20 minutes, yo. Like, he's just sitting there. Johnta done left. Trey just sitting there like, yo, he did a whole song, and just left. I was like, yeah, that's how you gotta get to that. You gotta get like that. So that wasn't an issue. The song wasn't an issue. It was the principle. And he knew that if he sang that song, that they were gonna ditch Wonder Woman and get to that. I mean, lo and behold, they did. So he wasn't lying. He was right, but we needed to get out of the hole. I think one of the problems with Can't Help But Wait was the fact that it did sound a lot like Sexy Love for Neo. And because Stargate did the record, Trey knew that. And he felt like this ain't gonna sound like me, it's gonna sound like Neo. So that annoyed him as well. So, but I mean, of course, he ended up doing the record, and Delonte directed the video, and it went on to be his, first big record. So, that's just a story involving Johnta on that part of it.
Right.
But yeah, no, Johnta mentioned Carl Thomas. Johnta watched Carl.
Yeah.
Trey watched Johnta. And so,
So how he describes, Trey watching me and having that reaction, that was the reaction that I had when I would watch Carl record, when I would go to open mic nights, when Troy would take me, I'm a 14, 15-year-old kid in these
got no business in the club.
New York clubs. I have no business being in these clubs. But I'm watching, Carl on stage at Chaz and Wilson's or Cafe Wow or the Blue Angel, and just killing it on stage, and I'm just like, wow, this is
Effortless,
amazing.
effortless, because that's Carl's thing.
Right.
Singing live was Carl's thing. Rest in peace, Ron
Absolutely.
Grant. Ron Grant was the host of all those open mics. But yeah, Carl, that was his thing. He went all the time, every Tuesday night, every Sunday night. He was there, and people knew that when he got up there, he was gonna kill it. And you know, that was that kind of thing. So Johnta watching Carl watched Trey watching Johnta, and then even still watching Carl, because Trey, you know, I would take him over to Carl's house as well.
Yeah.
It became a system. It became a thing. So that's, I would say that's where, well, actually TTU began in high school, but not in this as structured. It really
Right.
started with Carl. Like because Carl wanted to be a R&B singer, and he was a gospel singer, so he had to prove to me he could do R&B.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Johnta, go back to Can't Help But Wait. Was that inspired by someone as well?
No, man, what was the inspiration behind that song? Man, I might have just, just been in Dirty Mac mode.
Right.
Throwing salt on another dude in the side. I'm sure it was inspired by somebody.
Oh man.
It was a crazy, it was a crazy record.
A lot of my hits are, but yeah, no, it was really just being in the studio. That was around the same time, so Stargate and I had started working real heavy.
Yeah.
So, Can't Help But Wait. That was done around that time.
Was that before With You or after by Chris?
So that was before With You.
Okay.
Can't Help But Wait, I think was like either like the second or third song that I ever did with Stargate. And but With You was done the same day as I Need a Girl.
Oh wow.
That
Okay. Makes
did,
sense.
so that was the same session. So there was a Trey record in there.
Right.
But it was just really being in the studio with Stargate and just, again, just working on records, and trying to do something. But it was done for Trey.
Right.
Because Trey and Troy didn't, know about the conversation beforehand, but it was at the time my manager, Chris Hicks, worked at Atlantic.
Right.
He was the VP up there.
Okay.
And, Craig was like, man, I forget I don't know what record was out of mine. I want to, but it was, Craig was like, man, we would love for Johnta to do a record.
Right.
And then I happened to be in New York working with Stargate. So Chris was like, man, see what y'all can do.
Yeah.
And so we did that record. So I will say, I can't remember where the inspiration came from, but the record was done for Trey and with Trey. It was always meant to be for Trey.
Gotcha. So Troy, Ready comes out, and I Need a Girl, which Johnta wrote, is on there. How much pushback did Trey give on that record? Because Can't Help But Wait was a smash.
No. He didn't give any pushback. But before that record, we got into this thing with Atlantic where I since day one of Trey being signed, I really didn't need anyone to tell me what kind of music and how his music should go.
Right.
And they messed with me a whole lot. But by this point, we're annoyed. We're right in the after, Ready. Today. Trey Day, and then we're in that weird position, and we had a lot of music recorded, and that's when we decided to put out Anticipation.
Yep.
So now I go back to Johnta and I get Rain. What is it? Rain?
Yeah.
Got that record produced by Eric Hudson. And I asked Johnta if Trey could do it. And that record was inspired by something. And Trey loved the record, asked Johnta if we could do it and put it out. Because we were doing a mixtape, and at that time R&B wasn't doing mixtapes like that. It was unorthodox. Atlantic didn't like it. But we were in a position like, forget y'all, we're gonna do what we're gonna do. And CDs was still, a thing. So we did the anticipation. We put it in record stores. I mean, sneaker stores, and put it on the thing when you go pay, and you see the mixtape there. And Atlantic couldn't do anything about it because, they couldn't stop it.
Sure. Dope. So let's fast forward here. Love, Sex, Religion, Johnta's album finally comes out. Troy, I know you handled the vocal production. And I saw in another interview, and I thought this was like really cool, just advice from Troy, and I'm paraphrasing here, but you pretty much told Johnta not to worry about the success of the album, but just celebrate the fact that the album is out, that Johnta actually followed through with
that concept. Johnta had that concept for years.
Yeah.
And he would talk about it, and every time he would talk about it, I would just cringe. I'm like, Johnta, you can't, dude. Do you hear what you're saying? I'm like, it was so sacrilege. It was like, I don't know, Johnta. I'm telling you, he was so excited about that concept. He held on to it for all them years. And so by the time he brought it back up, it was like, you know what? Forget it. I just help you with it. Yeah. So it wasn't really about anything else, but actually seeing something through, also putting out music, because now we're at that point where you just put out music. It doesn't matter anymore whether you got a label or anything. So that was the main objective, is to finally put that music out.
Yeah. Johnta, how does it feel knowing that album is no longer called the R&B Detox?
I mean, no, it feels good. I mean, because I guess I beat Dre, because Dre still hasn't put out. But no, Big Bro is right, man. It was just the act of putting it out and seeing it just come, and the people that were waiting on it and excited about it, they were they supported, you guys supported and showed love, but just the act of putting the record out was dope.
Right. And of course, you guys are still
making it again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm waiting for that EP to drop from you guys. You've been teasing it, Johnta.
Soon.
Yes.
You won't have to wait as long for that as you waited
like 10, 11 years.
Woo. That I can promise you.
Right. Of course, you guys are still creating hits today, like the Speak to Me record. I love that song. And guys, that's not a gospel song. That's an R&B song.
Oh, yeah, it is. But, Corinne, she wanted something that was kind of like on the brink of it. Again, Johnta sitting right here, on this couch right here. He didn't even lay this one down. He just gave me a voice note. Like, I'm like, you noticed that, Johnta? You ain't never laid it down. I was like, wow.
I remember.
Wow. He just effortlessly to this day, like his gift for writing songs is masterful and purposeful. Like, he doesn't do it playing around. Everything he does, all his songs are what they're supposed to be. He doesn't take it for granted just because he's talented and he can do it. When we talk about it, what it needs to be, he nails it. And that brings me to, which I know you're going to bring it up, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. That brings me to Trey calling me one day, and in the background, he has Luther playing. And I'm like, he's like, yo, I want something like this. And I'm like, something like what? And he's playing, I forgot, I think it was either House Is Not a Home, or no, it was Till You Come Back. No,
Superstar?
Superstar.
Yeah, Superstar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Trey, cut it out. Nah, I want something. Trey, no, dude, no. You don't want nothing like that. No, I'm serious. I'm like, Trey, listen, don't have me do this, and then you decide to change your mind, because you already know what I'm gonna do. You know I'm gonna do it. So don't have me do all of this and then you don't do it. Nah, I'm serious. So I call my guy Eric. Woof, I've known him since he was 14.
Yep.
And by this point, you know, Eric has done some Trey Songz records at this
Yep.
point. And I said, I need Superstar, Luther Vandross. So he said, I got you, big bro, got you. So the first track he did was like replayed Superstar. I'm like, Eric, no, I don't want the actual track. Something like it. I want the feel. I don't want the actual chord. No. He's like, oh, okay. Second idea. Woo, man. He sent me that. I was like, okay. There's only one person. There's only one person in this entire world that's going to nail it specifically. So I called Johnta and I told him, you know, Trey wants to do a Luther record. I don't remember what did you say when I told you that? I don't remember. Yeah, I said he wanted to do a Luther record, and Eric, I got this track and I gave it to Johnta. And now on it, ironically enough, let's go back because Jonta's first idea.
Yeah.
He did the first idea and he called me.
The second verse was the first
verse. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The way he did it, I was like, Johnta, that's too much. No. Luther takes his time, space out, blah, blah, blah. So the second idea when he came, he took what was the second verse. It was the first. So he took that and made the second verse. And then when he did the next idea for the first verse, it was perfect because it's space. You know, Luther always had space. He took his time. He expressed the notes, the choosing of the notes and everything. So by the time Johnta, I got both videos too. So I got the first video he sent, and then I got the second video because again, he ain't laid this down. He just sent me a video.
Right.
He ain't lay it down. He just sent me a video of it. And I sent both videos to Trey, but I sent the last one, the second one to Trey, and Trey recorded his own vocals on that one. We were in pandemic. We were in the middle of pandemic, so we weren't traveling. And so he sent me back his vocals. I had a couple of little things that he should do, and he did it. And then both Johnta and Trey like, yo, man, I know you're going to put some backgrounds on there. I'm like, I don't really hear anything. Like, I don't. Yeah. I mean, of course, I can put backgrounds on anything, but I didn't really hear anything until Trey finished his vocals, and then I went back in and put, of course, I put keys on it. I added some drums to it. I added fillers and stuff like that to bring it all together, and that became All This Love. Wow.
That's an amazing song. That's one of my favorites that I've heard in like the last 5 years.
Yeah, like, it's a great song. It's a great R&B record. It's a great feel. The concern was it being a little bit more mature. It wasn't nasty Trey. Because normally nasty, like get a little nasty like you always do. But yeah, that was the only concern, and it did very well on the Urban AC charts, but because of pandemic, Trey got frustrated. He was supposed to do a video. He didn't end up doing a video, so it didn't take the record #1 like it should have. But because of pandemic, he just wasn't in that space, and so the record did well on its own. And it's that whole album was missing a couple of things that would have taken it over the top, and we just never got to those two things that it needed, which was 2 up-tempos.
Yeah, fair enough. I still love that album. I still love that album, though. I love the work that you guys did on it. And then finally, I have to ask, as we're wrapping this up, I'll ask both of you guys. Johnta, I'll start with you. What's your favorite song that you and Troy have done together? And then the second part of that question is, what's a song that you love that Troy's done, just period?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer the second question first.
Okay.
Troy knows this. This song is listen. Troy has this song called "Love Says It Better Than Words."
Mm.
This is the song. It's beautifully written. Now, like when you listen to Tony Thompson's "Goodbye Eyes,"
Oh, that's such a sad song.
It
that is
is. It
the
is.
but the feel of that in the music
Hmm.
was the "Love Says It Better Than Words" is the parent of
Yeah.
"Goodbye Eyes."
Wow.
It's such an
He's
amazing
been saying this for
um
years. That's why I laughed. He's
it,
been saying this for years.
I've been singing that song like
Wow.
listen, I used to be so nervous, and at the times I didn't care. I couldn't find the words. Like I actually recorded the song when I was signed to RCA.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Just an amazing song. A close second is a record he did called "Shoot the Gift." We won't get into that tonight. But my favorite record, my favorite record that we've done together. Ooh, all of this love, because it's recent, but I do love how that came out. But Can I Call You, man?
Yeah.
That was a vibe, man. That
Yeah.
was a moment. That record was jamming to me. Like
Yeah.
that was Troy and Johnta
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
Yeah.
at our most
That was
musical,
classic.
at
Yep.
our just doing the things that we loved about and love about R&B. From musically to the melodically, it just really gelled right. I thought.
Yeah. Hold on.
That's yeah.
Stanley, I think Stanley McLeod, I don't know if I'm saying your name right, but he pointed out something an observation. He said, John Tate answered the second question first.
There you go.
Backwards,
There
always.
you go. That's a genius
I
at
saw
work.
you, Stanley. I saw you. You peeped that. He's like, he answered the second question first, and the first
That's
question second.
funny.
There you go. That's what he
That,
would do.
that's a
Oh
genius at
man.
work.
For
But
me,
yeah, I mean, hold on. Can I Call You is by Marcus Houston if anyone wants to check that out. But Troy, your favorite record that you guys have done together and just your favorite Johnta Austin
um,
written record.
my favorite record that we have done together is going to be Sweet Lady because of the
Sure.
monumental meaning of it and the what it stands for, and we nailed it. We
Yep.
nailed it, and it became a classic. And he literally got his replacement back. He literally blew up his replacement.
Yeah.
The plan was perfect. It was executed. So that's going to be my favorite that we've done together. That record that he's done. There's too many records that Johnta has done
Yeah.
that are my particular favorites. I mean, he nailed Just Be a Man About It.
Oh
Sheesh,
yeah.
forget about it.
Yep. Yep.
Stingy, forget it. Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
like he got so many records that it's like I can't pick one. I can't even pick one. It's too many that he. Oh my gosh. One record that you guys never heard that Johnta nailed. It was it was specifically geared towards Aaliyah.
Mm.
Break Me Down. Woo! I
Okay.
never heard this one, but
Okay.
never came out. But he nailed that one. That one is crazy. That's
Wow.
one of my definite
We
favorite.
might need to put that demo up.
Yeah, or something. I might
Let's
have to
do that.
premiere that. I might need to premiere
that's
that
a
on my
great one.
TTU story time.
Oh man,
Yeah,
we got to hear that.
absolutely.
And
By the way, another record too, just because I know I named a couple of records, that Troy wrote that were unreleased records.
yeah.
I will say I'm gonna go back to the Boys to Men album, and
Hmm.
Little Things
Yeah.
Ah,
is,
Yeah.
that's what a melody, what a song. Sean Stockman, killed the vocals. But you know, that's another one of my favorite Troy Taylor records.
Wow, amazing. And finally, as we wrap this up, and I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys have learned a lot. But to go back to where we started with the conversation, it was really just to highlight your guys' brotherhood, your friendship, your relationship over the last 25 years. So, Johnta, I'll ask you, what does Troy Taylor mean to Johnta Austin and his career?
Oh, well, to my career, I don't think that you can say that there is a Johnta Austin without, you know, Troy Taylor's guidance, his mentorship, his nurturing. I don't think that you could, you know, who I am as, you know, a singer or artist, certainly as a writer. I don't think that Johnta Austin exists. As a personally, I mean, this man is my big brother. We've been through so much together, um, you know, and I'll try not to get emotional, but we've been through a lot
Yeah.
together over the years. Recently, as a family, just over the last couple of years. But this is my big brother. Like, I really don't know what I would do without him. You know, he's one of my best friends. He's a big brother. You know, I'm the godfather and uncle, you know, to his son. You know, he means the world to me. Like, it, you know, there wouldn't be a Johnta Austin without Troy Taylor.
Dope, dope. Troy, I'm going to ask you the same question. What does Johnta Austin mean to Troy Taylor and his career?
Um, I would say Johnta Austin means uh what he's the epitome of what who Troy Taylor would be if he was an artist.
Mm,
He's that. He brought the things that I didn't decide to do. I think I've always looked at Johnta as you're doing exactly what I envisioned myself doing had I became an artist or a singer. Of course, times 10 because he's an incredible singer. And so, for the music side, he always represented two things. What I would be if I went hard when I was earlier in my career, and
yeah,
then as a person, he's uh, just just a great person.
yeah.
Uh, um, and you know, like just he represents so many things, but it's just like you could depend on Johnta.
Right.
He's gonna be there, and if he gives his word, that's it. He'll give his word even if it's wrong. He'll, he'll, he'll be like, okay, you can no. He gave his word. He's gonna do it. So off the record and on the record, he just represents what it means to be a friend, a little brother. Um, and yes, we've been through a lot together, and that's what makes it special. That's what makes it so good because you cannot have anything great without having some rough ends to it. Greatness
Hmm.
greatness cannot be great if it doesn't
Right.
have rough, some hard times. And our whole relationship makes up everything it needs to be a great relationship, a great brotherhood. Um, like we are family. We are family. When he needs me, he knows I am there. When I need him, he's there. So that's what he means to me.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, that's amazing just to see that friendship, that brotherhood. And lastly, before I let you guys go here, just Johnta, what's coming up for you and also Hawks or Bucks?
Listen,
Yo, that's all Johnta talks about on Twitter.
listen. The Hawks are about to win the whole thing, baby. Of course, we're gonna beat the Bucks. Then we're gonna beat whoever we gotta play in the next one. Let's see what's coming up, man. I'm doing some stuff for Usher right now.
Mm,
Troy and I are actually gonna, try to do a couple of more records, you know, for him. We got the Johnta and Troy EP that
Mm-hmm.
will be coming this year. I promise you won't have to you won't have to wait, you know, years for that. Let's see what else. I feel like there's something else that I might not be thinking of, but Summer Walker. I got
Mm.
you know, London and I did some records
Yeah.
on Summer that I'm really excited about. So that's immediate. So Usher, Johnta and Troy, Summer Walker.
And then I think you did Ari Lennox as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that Jermaine and myself and B Cox did Ari.
Nice, nice. And Troy, what about you? I always check out your Instagram page. You're playing new music from artists I've never heard of before. There's that one that female singer that you played. There's one record on there. It's insane. I forget what it's called, but
Lorea,
it'll
you
come
talking
to
about
me.
Lorea Turner?
Yeah.
Man, I've been trying to get that chick to come here for years. And she finally came. So I'm working on, of course, Lorea. I just put these two guys together, Shay Cole, just to see what, you know, I'm playing around with that. Devin Culture, of
Yeah.
course, who is so, you know, epitome of soul, to the point where I'm just trying to figure out how to make it skew a little younger so it won't be so soulful.
Mm.
And so I've been working with that on that for a while, and just rebranding Troy Taylor, TTU. I am
Yeah.
not the OG that goes against the kids of today. I don't like it. However, in order to get to guide it, you have to immerse yourself into it. You have to get
Mm-hmm.
into it and understand it. The kids are around me all the time. You know, I hear the lingo, I hear the cadences, and so I get into it. And then I sprinkle a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of direction, R&B direction into it,
Yeah.
and you can always hear it. You can always tell. But I am not the OG that will, you know, hate on what I don't like, because I
Yeah.
remember when I came in the game, they hated on New Jack Swing,
Yeah.
and they did not like it. They didn't like the way it was mixed. It was too loud. It was distorted. So I remember that. So now here I am, an OG. So I'm always working on the next Johnta Austin, the next, you know, I'm always doing that. And I probably will always do that, you know. So I have a lot. Most of the stuff is putting on my page. I put it on my page now, what I'm working on.
Yeah. Dope, dope. And Hawks or Bucks?
I'm going for the Hawks, for sure.
Oh, there
Oh,
you
no,
go.
for sure. No. That's not even a question. That's not even a
There
question.
She
you
in the
go.
city now.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
That's true.
How dare I?
That's true. All right, Matt. Well, I think that's it for me. I appreciate both of you guys for joining me on this. I love hearing about the history, and I'm waiting for that EP. I know I've been waiting a couple of months now. Johnta, you said it's not going to be as long as Love, Sex, Religion,
It
so I'm
won't.
going to hold you
It
to
won't.
that.
It won't.
It won't. No, we have we go up that we
Surprise!
on.
Oh, dang.
No, I think I
Oh,
already
okay.
said it
Okay.
somewhere.
All right.
And then we have another the record problem.
Mm.
You know, my cousin JID is gonna be joining us on that one. So it'll be soon. It'll be soon. We promise.
Nice, nice. Can't wait for that. And like I said, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll be back next week with another segment. But Troy and Johnta, appreciate you guys, and
Thank
just
you.
keep doing what you guys are doing for R&B, and it's greatly appreciated.
Thank you for having me.
All
Thank
right,
you,
you guys
man. We
take care.
appreciate you, man. Always.
All right.